It's an Aussie bloke in a ghetto's world. G'day, guys. Been a solid minute since you've heard from me at all, let alone had this podcast delivered to you. Yeah, it's a truth be told, I was kind of just focusing on the album, and I really had nothing to talk about as far as being on this podcast. But there is one thing that I would like to very quickly ramble on about. Not going to be a long one, this podcast, but there's one thing that I would like to very quickly ramble on about somewhere within the year of 2023. 2023, February 6th, I believe. February 6th, 2023, so that would have been we're in June, so that would have been 4 months ago. February 6th, 2023. Actually, no, sorry, not June. What am I saying? It's the start of July. Ugh. So it's 5 months ago. Actually, no, it would be... Yeah, 5 months ago, sorry. Jesus. Maths is not my strong suit. But, yeah, so 5 months ago, February 6th, marked the 20th anniversary of 50 Cent's debut studio album, Get Rich or Die Tryin. What a fucking phenomenal album that was, and what an impact it had and is still having even today on the culture. Even 20 years later, it's still talked about like it just came out and listened to like it just came out. It and The Massacre are still 50 Cent's two most popular albums on music streaming services and probably in general. I can still remember the first time I ever heard In the Club. It was about 2010, which is, I was 10 years old back then. That was probably about the time I was first introduced to rap, you know. Artists like Dre and Snoop and 50 Cent were the ones I was sort of exposed to the most. Truth be told, I actually first heard Eminem at a very young age, like 4 or 5 years old. But of course I didn't understand what or who he was back then. But the first artists that I sort of started to comprehend were definitely those artists, and I can still remember, like I said, the first time I ever heard In the Club. It was 2010 or thereabouts. I was in the truck with my dad, and he played it, and I was like, "Wow, what the hell is this song?" Even as a 10-year-old kid, it was a bop. The first single from the album, and I think still to this day is the biggest rap debut ever. It's amazing to this day the records that 50 smashed. Like from 2003 to 2005, there was nothing and no one bigger than him. Yeah, and it's phenomenal and amazing that we've got to 20 years of the album. It is his biggest and best album. I don't care what anyone says. Like, The Massacre, had it not been tampered with by Interscope, had it not been pushed back to allow the release of the documentary in January or February or whenever that was released, 2005, and had it been allowed to be released on February 14th and called the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, as it was originally supposed to be. Because, like, what ingenious is that, really? Like, naming your second album after a real-life event. Yeah, so had it been allowed to be released as that, and had it had those songs that were given to the documentary on it, I reckon it could have been as big, if not bigger, than The Massacre, because it actually had more first-week sales than The Massacre, and don't forget, The Massacre got leaked early, I think. So, as did... sorry, not The Massacre. What am I talking about? It had more first week sales than Get Rich or Die Tryin. What am I on about? And because don't forget, both albums I think got leaked before they were officially released. So Interscope had to push them forward, and they weren't really released when they were supposed to be, but they both did insane sales because, as I said, between 2003 and 2005, there was nothing and no one bigger than 50 Cent in the rap game. Biggest debut ever out of the gate. Like, I haven't seen anyone top it ever since. But yeah, what a phenomenal album, man. 20 years, wow, had such a big impact on my life. You know, I can still remember listening to, as I said, In the Club for the first time, and listening to fucking, you know, discovering all the other songs on it, you know, like at about the time I started going to high school, you know, Life's on the Line, Back Down, fucking Many Man, Patiently Waiting. I can still vividly remember. My dad actually brought that song to me when I was in about year 8, and for a while that song got bumped, along with Till I Collapse, from Eminem and Nate Dogg. And yeah, all the other classic songs from that. What Up Gangster was another one of my favorites. Yeah, man, what a fucking absolutely and utterly phenomenal album that was, and you know, has left so many vivid and positive memories in my life even to this day, and is, you know, still, even like I said, 20 years later, still being talked about fondly. I would highly recommend watching the documentary recently released on YouTube about it from the Diverse Mentality channel, called How 50 Cent Got Rich and Nearly Died Tryin'. It was a phenomenal documentary. Quake, the guy who owns that channel, put a heap of work into it. He went and interviewed everyone that he could get his hands on about that album, and yeah, he really did justice to its legacy. So I might put that in the video of this on YouTube somewhere. Go and watch that because it was a phenomenal video and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Found out some things about the album that I didn't know previously. But yeah, man, I just wanted to do something of my own on it because, you know, it was such a phenomenal album and I couldn't not. And also I kind of wanted to just check in, you know, because you just haven't heard from me for a while. And I thought you should just know that I'm still alive and kicking, and yeah. But yeah, man, what an album. 20 years. What a milestone. Anyway, guys, this is episode 2. Don't know when or if episode 3 will be. Whenever I got something to talk about in rap, I guess. But yeah, if you want to hear more of me and you're interested in MMA, go over to the MMA Quick Chat podcast. You'll hear a lot more of me over there. But yeah, 20 years. Wow. Anyway, guys, until there's something new to talk about, catches.